Hello and welcome to Public Conscience, the anti-corruption program produced by the Progressive Impact Organization for Community Development, PRIMOC. I am Chidozie Ogbonna and I'm with Adaobi Obiagbon.
Thanks for joining us.
On Public Conscience, we seek to evolve a corruption-free society by drawing government and citizens' attention to corruption reports and issues for prompt democratic actions against them. We also promote integrity by amplifying rare cases of the display of honesty by public and private individuals. We appreciate the MacArthur Foundation for supporting the production of this program.
On today's program, we will take you to the northeast, precisely Borno State, where a recently published investigative report by Human Angle indicted security operatives operating multiple checkpoints across the state of extorting motorists and citizens who ply the roads.
Checkpoints that were created to ensure security of road users and to stop the movement of illegal goods and drugs are allegedly being used by security personnel to extort road users.
The report we are looking at says nearly 100 security checkpoints were seen mounted by various security groups, and drivers plying the roads are expected to pay between 100 to 500 naira as they cross each checkpoint.
Sadly, the report estimates that over 100 million naira is illegally paid to security personnel on the Maiduguri highways annually.
The Nigerian Senate had in July called for urgent end to extortion, intimidation, and harassment of motorists and commuters on public roads. It is quite obvious they need to do more to end the menace.
I agree with you, they need to do more. For you out there, whether you are a motorist or road user, what is your experience on Nigerian roads? Do you pay money at checkpoints? How is extortion by security operatives at checkpoints affecting you as a citizen? How can the government confront the increasing extortion of drivers and Nigerians at checkpoints? And what is the government not doing right? We want to hear that.
Lots of questions to be answered there. Be ready to join us through phone and text messages during this conversation. The WhatsApp phone line to send your message to is 0902 265 6167. That is 0902 265 6167. Please indicate your name and your location when sending your message. This number is for messages only.
So please begin to send your messages as soon as possible to 09022656167. That is 09022656167. We will give out the numbers to call shortly.
If you just joined us, the spotlight is on the extortion of motorists and road users at numerous security checkpoints created on Borno Highway. We invited the Federal Road Safety Corps, the Nigerian Army to be a part of today's program. Hopefully, they will join us in the course of the deliberation.
Still on corruption by security operatives, we will also touch on WikiTimes investigation, which uncovered the existence of an illegal border route in Barutin local government area of Kwara State, where smugglers collaborate with security operatives to smuggle rice into Nigeria daily. But joining us live in the studio is the Director of Media and Advocacy at Nigeria National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Femi Babafemi. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure being here.
All right, we'll go straight to speak to the journalist that investigated this report. We are in touch with him. He's on phone now. We speak to him. He's a journalist, investigative journalist with Human Angle Media. Thank you for joining us, Ijasini Ijani.
Thank you for having me on, sir.
All right, let's quickly get an overview of your report and why Human Angle deemed this investigation necessary.
Okay, thank you for giving me time to speak on this critical issue. The investigation I carried out 6 months ago this investigation strictly human angle, accountability, transparency in governance and security. The issue of extortion along major roads in Borno State has been a bottleneck whereby it has affected a lot of narrative, whereby security personnel extort from commuters who are IDPs who their living life and standard is already compromised. These are vulnerable people and now being extorted along the roads. The insecurity actually narrowing down that people don't really see it as an issue, but millions of naira are extorted every year.
Okay, let's expand this discussion because your story talked about how people were being extorted on the road, which security agencies are involved in the extortion story you wrote, just for public knowledge.
Yeah. So the security personnel involved in the extortion of money along the major roads in Borno State. We have the NDLA, the Drug Law Enforcement Agency. We have the Civil Defense Service Corps. We have the military. And we also have the police and the immigration and customs. But most of the extortion were carried out by the military, the police, and the NDLA, because most of these areas are vulnerable and the security operation and monitoring here is less. So they tend to extort from people along these roads, while the military takes the high percent of the extortion along the road. If you look at it from the report the population actually, the spread of the security agent at checkpoints in most of the, if you look at the infograph, the army were now taking the lead, then followed by the police, then the customs, then the drugs. Well, the reason why for the drug law enforcement agencies there was less extortion in their own side is because the less smuggling of drugs within that location. So their extortion methods are just if they should get a victim or an individual that looks like an addict or someone that used to take drugs, they stop him from the vehicle and now extort from him, claiming not claiming, they collect money from him to allow him to continue with the journey. Because the people, the driver will not allow the passengers, so he has to also wait and give next to them so they allow you to.
Was this extortion, the extortion that you talked about, was it in the public glare or it was secretive? Could you tell us how this was done?
It was not even secretive. That's one thing. One thing you know about insecurity is that reporting insecurity is something that is very heavy. So not all people have the mind to follow this route. I follow all these routes. I follow Putio Mapa. I go to Medjugorje, Mongolo. I go to Medjugorje, Goza. These are hard-to-reach areas. These are areas that mostly have subtle attacks every day. So reporters don't tend to follow this route, and the commuters following this route tend to think it is okay because I did my investigation and most of them think these are people that are securing us, these are people that are protecting us on the road. If they were not here, we can't also follow this route. So they think giving them that money is like incentive to them, or I don't really know why they do that because they believe giving them the money what
Ejasini, are you with me? A straight question.
Yeah,
Why doing your investigation? Did you disguise yourself to go to the checkpoint mounted by NDLE to find out for yourself, or you interviewed drivers and individuals?
Very good, and that's where I think I was extra mile doing some extra job. I disguise myself in most of my traveling, and after disguising myself from the drug, in the case of the drug issue, when you are passing the route around maybe Ogoza Road, there's this checkpoint. They have the drug law enforcement agency are located in 3 locations. One is immediately before Kawi, that's when you are leaving maybe to Goza, and the second one is in Bama, while the third one is in Benki. That's from Benki to Krika down to Goza. So when we are going along this route, whenever they see someone that just looks like an addict, or someone that maybe takes up, they will let him down. And during my own investigation, I went and acted like one, so I was stopped. When I was stopped along the line, so they discussed, we had discussion with them, and when they wanted extortion from me, that was when I quickly so that I can't be extorted, because I haven't done anything. They haven't caught me with any drug with me, with any substance that will go against their operations there. So they now, though they delay us, but they let us and go.
So that means you did not pay them at that point?
Yeah, I didn't pay them because I am also doing an investigation. So at that moment, I refused to pay. It's just like an awareness. And when I just spoke to the spokesman, I get the phone number of the spokesman. He refused to pick the call. After texting him, he refused to respond. I also sent him an WhatsApp message. He still didn't respond. And now also sought out for the spokesperson in Burma.
Okay, a quick one there. So do you think that other motorists, if they are aware that they can refuse to give bribe to some of these security operatives, that they would not succeed in extorting them? Because from what you said, you knew your rights and you refused to give them the money, and you did not. At the end of the day, they were not successful.
No, they were not successful. The issue is that
you have not answered the question. Do you think if other motorists are aware of their rights, they would not also engage in the act of giving bribe?
Yeah, it's not about awareness yet. A lot of the drivers are aware that it is their right not to give the money. But the situation they found themselves in, they have no choice but to give the money because the security personnel will delay you. And it's a journey of one day. And they'll end up, if you go so much in there, the existence of someone that was delayed because he was not giving the money. So the delayers is what they are avoiding.
Okay, because of our time, let's wrap up on this. Let's anchor on this. Since your report was published, has there been any reaction from the agencies that your story indicted? Any reaction from them or any known action from the government?
Yeah, there was a very, very successful action. I was along the road just 3 days ago, and they have sent a task force committee from the security agency, that's the military party in person, and they have been going around the road telling drivers that they should not give any money to security personnel, that any driver that was caught giving money to any security personnel is going to be charged and is not going to be allowed to follow the route again. That means he has lost his job. So this is the feedback or success story that I've gotten, apart from and also from the police. The spokesperson for the police in Borno also assured me that he is going to take that into action, and which he also sent show me the community that he has done.
Okay.
And the happiness on.
Okay, we'll see how that goes, but we'll have to leave it there with you this morning. Thank you so much for joining us to throw more light on your investigation. Ajani is an investigative journalist working with Human Angle Media. Thank you so much for coming to the program. And alright, and if you just joined us, it is still Public Conscience, produced by the Progressive Impact Organization for Community Development, PRIMOC. And back in the studio, we are still having Baba Femi. He's the Director of Media and Advocacy at National Drug Law Enforcement Agency and the LEA. Thank you so much for staying with us.
Thank you.
I just want to quickly add that we reached out to the Nigeria Police, Nigeria Immigration Service, but we did not get any response from them.
So we'll commend you for coming first.
Thank you. It's part of our responsibility to engage with the public through the media, especially.
Okay. All right. Let's go straight to your mission, because I know that the mission of NDLEA is to strive for the eradication of the illicit trafficking of narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances. So how would you react to this investigation indicting your officials in Borno highways for doing something completely out of the mission?
Unfortunately, I couldn't hear him properly because of the mode of conversation. It was faint, but from what I could pick from him, and I've also, when I got your letter of invitation, I also, fortunately, you attached. That was the first time I was actually seeing it, to be honest with you. I have never come across that report, and I took my time to go through, and I actually discovered that in that report itself, reference to NDLA there was passive, not a specific, unlike references to some other institutions. I think NDLA was mentioned about 6 times there. Unfortunately, I didn't come with that, with a hard copy of that. I had to underline those places. It was passive. That on this route, these are security agencies on this route, and NDLA just mentioned. Very much unlike what he was saying on here. And when you talk of investigative journalism, I'm a professional to the core, and that's all I've done all my life. And there are certain, the whole essence of an investigative report, one, is to expose some social ills with a view to correcting them. Fine, his effort is commendable, but I think there are some loopholes in there. One would have been very much more grateful if, for instance, in places where he mentioned, let's say my own organization that I can speak for, there is a specific accusation, and probably you have some maybe photo evidence. I mean, ordinary citizens on the road these days in the age of technology, I mean, you can take anybody's picture, you can take anybody's video, you can record anybody, your conversation with anybody, just to produce something concrete. That, because, for instance, if that is done, like an organization like ours will be very much glad to work on that with a view to see, okay, identify those involved in such unwholesome practice and bring them to justice to correct that particular thing. But unfortunately, when you also look at the work of the agency, NDLA, for instance, when you see officers of the agency on the highways, their responsibility purely is to check for drugs, not anything else. And so if you are not carrying, trafficking or carrying drugs, you have no contact, no relation, you have no business with them. And so I find it, this is not, I'm not trying to be defensive, if indeed that was what I said, for a report of this magnitude, I would have loved or expected that there would be some shreds of evidence that could be worked on maybe for his benefit, if he can still hear us, next time if you're doing something like this, you need some shreds of evidence, like photo, like picture, like audio, that such organizations can always work on with a view to identifying those involved and correcting such things if indeed they are real.
All right. The good thing is that your men mount checkpoint. They put up checkpoint
all over the country.
Yes,
all over the country, because that's where I'll tell you that indeed that has been, it's part of our responsibilities to check all of these things on the highways, because as our responsibility does not stop at the airports or at the seaports, but equally on the roads and in communities everywhere. And doing that, we have intercepted millions of pills of opioids on the roads. We have intercepted tons of kilograms of illicit substances. We have even seized drugs in the tires of vehicles, in engines, in different parts of vehicles. So that's nothing abnormal or nothing illegal.
So in that line,
yeah,
are you saying, have you heard of related cases like this, like the investigation we're talking about, from like your men going into some unwholesome act while on the road?
Well, what we often, I'll tell you that as the face of the agency out there, what I'll be very truthful with you. What I have often received, the complaint I've often received, borders on delays or people complaining that their vehicles were stopped, and in the course of checking this thing, their time, and I do encourage them, please, this thing is done in your own interest.
Not extortion. No,
not about extortion. That's certainly if we have such issues, because that's what I'm saying. Drugs and it's different from the other things that other agencies look out for. But in terms of drugs, if you are not involved in trafficking drugs or traveling with drugs, you have no contact with them whatsoever. But indeed, I will also tell you that we encourage citizens, if you see any of these things, please inform us, especially those that we've had situations where we have online on our own. We source all some of these things online, where we have some videos online where not extortion but some not too decent act, and we act promptly. So it's about for us, we always want to rely on something that we can work with, not just a blank statement.
But Femi, we also know that your workers, your colleagues out there, they are not from heaven straight.
Absolutely.
So,
no, but that's why I told you
yes,
from the beginning that I'm not trying to be defensive, but we work on facts and figures, concrete evidence, so, not on hearsay or just blank statement. Like I told you, I have read that report, and in about 3 instances when Delhi was mentioned there, it was just mentioned, and it was mentioned passively. Okay. Like NDLA is part of the agencies on this route. Nobody, because others were, individuals were mentioned and interviewed, and they specifically mentioned this is how much we pay ABC. But in those places, NDLA did not feature.
If you heard the journalist in his narration and explanation, he mentioned that he was stopped by NDLA officials.
Yeah.
Even when they found out that they didn't, or he did not have drugs on him or in the vehicle, they still delayed him and tried to extort. But just that he was able to refuse.
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Fortunately, he did not claim that he was extorted. You see, there are two different things. That's why I'm telling you that we don't have any business with those who have no drugs on them. So it's only when you have.
Or there are situations where they found drugs on him.
Yeah.
And
so then at that point,
to give that bribe or allowed himself to be extorted.
That would be very difficult for anybody. For instance, an officer knows the implication of you allowing somebody with drugs to go I mean, for over some peanuts. You know the implication of that is not only costing you your career, you go in for criminal prosecution for it, and you end up in jail. So no officer would want to do that. That is not like
but
what I'm saying.
Are there measures put in place to check officials?
Absolutely, I'll tell you. One, we have the chairman of the agency, General Marwa, is very conversant with developments in law enforcement, having served in the armed forces all through his life, active, as in years in service, and he's still serving his fatherland. So one of the first things he put in place when he came on board, one was to set up the office of Provost Marshal, which is headed by a high-ranking director in the agency. And you know what Provost Marshal does to investigate things like this, some unwholesome practices by officers and men, and discipline them appropriately. But beyond that, again, he also had to set up another body called Special Monitoring Task Force. The Special Monitoring Task Force reports to him directly, and what they do is go around, and anywhere where we have a mention with evidence of things like this, that task force also goes there to investigate, establish the facts, and do a report to the chairman, which ultimately is passed down to the provost marshal for disciplinary measures. So,
how successful has this been?
Definitely, of course, they would be in place if they've not been successful. But it's just that it's most of the cases they have handled are far from some of these. If we have a concrete one, like in this case, if we have concrete one, a case that has some facts and figures, some evidences like this, like I told you, if it's something that really concerns us much, or that we have something concrete against our officers and men, I would have known earlier before your letter came. But unfortunately, I never saw this report anywhere until your letter came, and I had to go through line by line to be sure. Okay, is there any concrete? Is there anybody mentioned? You understand how
how do you purge unscrupulous elements, corrupt elements that may want to raise their head in your organization? I'm talking about organizational purge of corrupt people.
Definitely, there are rules of. The agency itself has its own service rules. And apart from that, you also have the public service rule, quite a lot of those rules, and punishments are already stated or stipulated for such offenses. Beyond that, don't also forget that in our own case, if you are found guilty or found wanting in certain areas, you not only risk being dismissed or being terminated, you also risk criminal prosecution. So that's why it's a double-edged sword for any officer who wants to do something that is.
So there is consciousness out there.
Absolutely, right. Absolutely. That's why we encourage citizens. If you see anything, that any of our officers are doing, and you can get concrete evidence that this is what this person is doing, please pass that to us, so we'll deal with it. Promptly.
We'll get back.
That's an assurance.
We'll get back to you on those assurances. We want you to also give it more, but that will be it's time to get the listener involved.
Please follow us on our social media platforms at Official Primorg. Primorg again is spelled as PRIMORG.
Please begin to send your messages now to 09022656167, and we are asking for you to comment and tell us what you think. I think we have someone calling already. Hello, your name and where you're calling from. All right. So while we wait for the calls, we still have Mr. Femi Babafemi from the NDLE Media, Director of Media and Advocacy, here with us. And you were talking about what the agency is doing, how the rules can restrict some people or people from doing the wrong thing, going into unwholesome practice out there. But are there grand plans?
Before you take that, I want to quickly add that it is important to stop the illicit drugs from moving freely on our roads, what kind of assistance do you need from drivers and members of the public to stop the free movement of drugs on our roads?
Excellent. That's the kind of message I expect. That is actually the spirit of citizenship. Partnering, working with an agency like us to curb the movement, because we cannot close our eyes. We cannot say because some people are extorting, we have allegations of some people extorting on the roads, that therefore security agencies must not be on the road again. That is very dangerous. And so in our own case, I'll tell you that, like I said before, quite a lot has been intercepted and seized on the road. Quite a number of suspects that we've been looking for have been arrested on the roads. So that is something that is very germane and very central to our responsibility. Now, regarding what the person said, I'll tell you that indeed we work with the drivers union, that is National Union of Road Transport Workers. We work with them, we partner with them at those levels, the national, subnational and local levels, just so that they can also give us information if they suspect anybody or any consignment in their vehicle, because ultimately when these vehicles are intercepted on the road, the vehicle used to transport it, that's one of the first things that will be seized. So that creates a problem for the driver. So that is also in their interest for them to work with us, to give us information that, look, and there are quite a number of these transport unions and motor parks have been working with motor parks management. They've been working with our commands across the country in this regard, and that's why anytime they see anything that could give them problems on the road, they inform our people. They have that relationship at those local levels where they can pass information to our people and they will do the needful. So we encourage citizens to do this, because if they don't do that, ultimately they don't know that the drugs that are being moved from one location to the other, they may be a victim. How? That drug may end up, for instance, a drug that is being moved from Abuja to Makurdi in Benue State. If you go to Makurdi, that drug is shipped there. The next time you are coming back to Abuja, maybe the driver that will drive you is part of those that would have consumed or taken that drug. And when you get on the highway, anything can happen. So you may say, okay, it doesn't concern me, let me keep quiet. But ultimately, like I said, whether you like it or not, you may be a victim of that illicit substance, that shipment that you decide to close your eyes to. That's why we encourage citizens' involvement. Not only citizens, everybody in the society. And that's the whole essence of the launch of War Against Drug Abuse Advocacy Initiative, which was launched on June 26, 2021 by the agency to mobilize citizens to buy in and take ownership of the fight against drug abuse and illicit drug trafficking in our country.
Okay, do we have a message?
Okay, we have a message from Chris Moore Esquire from Maitama, and it says it is unthinkable that whilst masses are finding it hard to feed, a lot of pilfering takes place in these agencies. Let the government allow the masses to live and breathe.
Anyway, Chris, thank you for your message, but let's get back to the issues.
Perhaps you are a motorist. Do you ply the road often? Have you encountered some sort of extortion from any of our security agencies? Would like you to call in and contribute, because we have a duty to purge our system of all and any sort of corruption taking place. Please go ahead.
Integrity is very key as far as looking at how sensitive your organization is. Hello? Yes, please, can you turn down the volume of your radio set and your name and where you're calling from? Okay, let's hear you. Thank you for this call.
Thank you so much for
Thank
that.
God that's a neutral voice out there. So I'm not like if that comes from me, you probably think because I'm the spokesperson for the agency, I'm defending the agency. But indeed, I'll tell you what we do on the road is very key and central. And this particular allegation, it's very rare. I'll tell you that. If we have such issues, we would have gone all out. And even despite that, because it's a human organization where we can, you always, in every human community, you always have some bad eggs, but then we try as much as possible to make sure that we overwhelm them with quite a lot of mechanisms in place. And beyond that, also the leadership of the agency has done quite a lot and are still doing a lot to motivate officers and men in a way that you don't really have. You look at what you have to benefit from your service as against the peanuts that anybody will want to give you on the road that will jeopardize your career and even ultimately send you to jail. Nobody will want to take that kind of.
Hello, your name and where you're calling from? All right, Charles, let's hear you. Have you had any issue at checkpoints?
Yeah, I have an issue specifically in Nakawa in front of the federal state.
Okay.
When I went to Nakawa, I was on my way to away. Yes, on the road they flagged me down, but I was going in the city. And they stopped us. You know, trying to do their job. What got me pissed off was going into the lady, telling the lady to open her purse, the one she was carrying on the arm. And I'm like, okay, so let me also understand why. He said, why am I asking him? Am I not seeing him on uniform? And I told him, I'm seeing you on uniform, but I'm not even seeing you on, though they are very good man on the roadside. I know they were on duty. But what got me offended is going into a lady's purse to see her purse.
But what if the lady hid drugs inside her purse?
No, well, I'm not saying that suspicion should not be busy, but because at the end of the day, they didn't find what they wanted, and they said, okay, we should go. And as the lady was trying to go, he said, but officer, what you did, taking my stamp only for me, was wrong. The officer slapped the lady.
Okay.
And I came down to ask him a simple question, but my patience calmed down when the woman in the car saw what happened and came and apologized to the lady.
Okay, Charles, a quick one there. But did anybody ask you for money or try to extort you?
There was nothing, there was no money, they didn't ask for any money because the only thing they told us that when they look at the lady's face, she looks like somebody who smoke or that was their suspicion. But since their suspicion, they didn't ask for any money. But my point is, even at the point of that lady getting angry, she should have, okay, sorry madam, we are only trying to do our job. If you feel offended, I'm sorry. Just like the woman did. But the other guy,
Okay, Charles.
my point is this.
Charles.
The junior ones that give them that name.
All right, Charles. Let's leave it there and take other calls. Thank you so much, Charles.
Hello?
Yeah, hello?
Yes, good morning. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Yeah, I'm calling from Usyk.
Your name, please.
I'm Samuel. I'm calling from Usyk.
Okay, Samuel, let's hear you in 1 minute. Do you have an experience to share?
Yeah, there's a person traveling from Abuja to Lagos. There's a unit of the NDMEA checkpoint shortly after Lokoja.
Okay.
You know, they have that unit. I must commend them. I must really commend them in terms of their deployment, and they have been active and alert, concerning vehicles, road users who probably will want to conceal hard drugs. So I think what the spokesman there said is just, if you don't have anything on you, you have nothing to fear. It's only when you have something on you, or you like collaborator, that's when you just look for one reason or the other. They want to arrest them for business accusation.
Oh.
I have declined that route, and I observe that they have not molested anybody. If they come out and they look at cases, they are training people. they look at faces and they see that there's a face that looks suspicious, maybe signs of hard drug addiction. That's when they do their best.
All right.
They can look at faces and if they don't suspect anything, they tell such people to go.
Okay.
Lastly, I believe that it's collaborators with drugs. That we always want to look for one unfounded story and just hang on them, just to blackmail them. I'm speaking from the position of an independent person.
All
I don't
right.
have anything at all to do with NDA.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you
Let's
so
leave it
much.
there. Thank you for your account. And
Let me
I'm sure the people out there even did my job for me to deride.
Okay, let me ask you this, because the last person said that one of the ladies in the bus was suspicious and the officer had the right to pry into her wallet. Is that allowed?
Anybody can. I'm sure you would have even seen people swallowing more than 100 pills of drugs. Ingesting more than 100 pieces of drugs. So if we can even scan what is inside your body, so I'm not sure. The only thing you are not allowed to do, for instance, as a male officer, you are not allowed to search the body of a female person.
So female to female.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you are not. But purse, bag, but of course we have made seizures, several seizures in those places. So that's not really an issue. But again, we also like the last caller said, I'll tell you, indeed, our men are very professional when you encounter them on the road. And you can see the person that complained on the national route is that another officer came down and apologized to the lady. So you see, that's what they have been trained to do. What we are doing is in your interest. It's not in any way to punish you or to make you feel less human.
All right. Thank you for
we'll
that.
Get back to you for your concluding remarks. But right about now, we have Salihu Ayatullahi. He's an investigative journalist that worked for the Informant. They collaborated with Wikitimes to do investigation in Kwara State, Barotin local government, where smugglers collaborate with security officials to smuggle in rice. Good morning and welcome to the program, Salihu. Please, can you speak up? All right, quickly, because we don't have too much time on our hands. Speak to us about your investigation, which uncovered that smugglers in Kwara State are collaborating with security operatives to smuggle bags of rice into Nigeria daily. Where in Kwara is this corruption taking place?
Yeah, thank you very much. The investigation, which was done about 2 months ago, actually centers on the alarming issue of, illegal rice smuggling across the border. We discovered that a clandestine network of smugglers work with the, cooperation of security operatives at the border to engage in unlawful importation of foreign rice from, our neighboring Benin Republic. Actually, a neighbor to Benin Republic here in Kwara State. So the border we are in the first is, close to promote local rice production and curb smuggling. But the place still persists, there are people still going to the Benin Republic. That's why the closure of the border. But it's very much easier for them to still go to the Benin Republic and come down to Nigeria with local rice, which is posing a significant challenge to, the local farmers and the Nigerian economy. So basically, the investigation uncovered how, despite the closure of the border, we still have smugglers going to the Benin Republic.
Okay.
At the multiple and bring it to Nigeria to
okay.
Collaboration of security officials.
Salihu, it is obvious that we'll find time to talk more about this, but in 30 seconds, tell us about if there's been any reaction from the government since this story came out.
Yeah, there has not been much reaction. The custom PRO promised to actually sanction the officers involved, but it's far beyond the sanction. The Nigerian government needs to adopt some advanced technology in monitoring these borders, go way beyond the rice smuggling. Most of these people smuggling weapons and it's very easy for them to, it's what you witness, it's very easy for them to go to other neighboring countries and bring weapons and all sorts of contrabands into the country. So it goes way beyond just sanctioning airline officers. It goes beyond, like, okay, you have to adopt advanced technology to monitor our border. So basically, for now, they have not really done what they promised to sanction the
nothing for now, and they promise. I must thank you so much, Salihu Ayatullahi, investigative journalist with the Informant 247. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you very much.
And we still have Director of Media and Advocacy at NDLEA.
Okay, let me, as we begin to wrap up, are there mechanisms where citizens can report, like report decks or phone number?
Absolutely. We have a toll-free helpline that we actually use, that is actually provided for people suffering with substance abuse, their friends or their relations, to seek help. And also that line also is also available for those who have information or who wants to report any incident to us, and that is 0800 10203040. 0800 10203040. That's our toll. It's actually a toll-free helpline. Nobody is paying for that.
It's a 12-digit number.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why it's a special number. So nobody is paying for the call. We pay for the call. So those who have issues with substance abuse, who need counseling, who needs teletherapy, we have mental health experts, psychologists, psychotherapists, counselors, and psychiatric doctors, all available, running 24/7 shift at that call center. They will attend to such people, and if the call is about passing an information to us, they also pick that and pass it to the appropriate desk. Besides that, we are all on social media handles. People come to our DM and give us information or report things to us. We act on them properly.
In 30 seconds, let me ask you this question about integrity. How do you ensure that people with questionable characters or corrupt acts of corrupt behavior don't creep in or slip into your agency?
Our recruitment process is top notch. Beyond the different stages you have to go through for vetting, even at the point of recruitment, when you are in, officers and men are also subjected to series of checks and also vetting, because what they do is very key to life, and so we don't have to, we have to keep an eye on everybody, and that's why you have a whole directorate devoted to that.
Okay.
All
beautiful.
Right, we must sincerely appreciate the Director of Media and Advocacy of the NDLEA for coming on our program.
Thank you.
We will be happy to provide the agency with more opportunities to reach the public with information. We also will plan to partner with you in other advocacy schemes to take your message to the public, particularly the young ones.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure you need more advocacy.
Absolutely, it's never enough, because the problem out there is huge, and so we all need all hands to be on deck. It's a collective thing, so we all have to be involved.
All right.
Thank you. Does everyone really must go?
Have to go.
Drug, substance abuse is not one that we need in our society. We really must purge ourselves of it. Please visit our news website, primorgnews.org. That is primorgnews.org. For all the details of our reports and interviews, visit our website, www.primorg.org, to get all information about Primorg.
And you can watch our videos on Primorg TV, our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to get reminders when we have a new post. We appreciate our guests, who is the Director of Media and Advocacy at the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Femi Babafemi. Thank you so much for being here. All right. We also appreciate Ejasini Ijani, investigative journalist with Human Angle Media, who joined us from Borno, and also Salihu Ayatullahi. He works for the Informant 247. We have to thank you all who listened today. Thank you for joining us. Public Conscience has the support of the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, committed to building a more just, verdant, and peaceful world. Get more information about the foundation on its website, macfound.org.
Join us again here next week for another episode of Public Conscience. And remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at official Primorg.
Remember,
I am Adaomi Obiabomo. Are you in a hurry for me to leave?
Yes, yeah, no, not really. Remember that birth registration and birth certificates are free. If your child is under 18, help stop the corruption in birth registration and do not pay for birth certificate. Also, remember that you can give us hints or information about corrupt acts through our phone at 09022656167 or info@primorg.org. I am Chidozie Ogbonnaya. Stay safe.